the word franchise comes from this whole concept of freedom. Over a period of time, the word franchise got extended to business world as well. It began sometime around 1850s when Isaac Singer, the Singer machines, the sewing machines, he improved on them, but he couldn't distribute them. So he began to appoint distributors and gave some kind of a franchise. So the time value has changed so much. So things, even in the arena of franchise, has also moved very fast. From 1950s, when McDonald's came in, today, maybe in 60 years' time, there are 50,000 outlets. If you see entire growth of the United States, if you go back to the economic history, everything is a franchise now. Well, Indian law does not define the word franchising or franchise, but basically it's a relationship between somebody who has certain rights and he gives freedom to somebody else to carry on that business. It began more like at one point of time, it started off with land. Somebody had a land and he would allow somebody else to hold some fairs, some kind of work to be done for a temporary period and stuff like that. So we do not at this point in time have a specific definition of franchise, but it basically means a relationship. It's like partnership. Let's say it started off with McDonald's, it went to Flowerama and other ones. Even accounting firms, Price Waterhouse, Ernst & Young, KPMG, Desai, what are these? These are McDonald's or accounting firm. Because when you can standardize certain things and you allow the name to be used according to certain standards, it's franchise. So all these accounting firms also use the word franchise, that we have given franchise to India, we have given franchise to other countries. Franchise can be applied in the context of any business. And I believe there is a huge future for this business of franchise to develop in India. But you have to give about 10 days time for the franchisee to review the document. Okay, after review, he may be given another 5-7 days to sign up. Okay. Sometimes there is a cooling off period. Within 3 days or 4 days, you can withdraw from the contract if you think after signing also. So there are different states have different regulations and different situations could arise. It is very important in Indian context that we do not have a franchise law. Okay. Do we need one or not is a question for all of you to decide. If you need one, you have a lawyer around here to help you. If you don't need, the other way is that you create a SRO, self-regulatory organization, and create your own standards, like stock market or other. Of course, over a period of time, regulators do come in. But if you do not have a system, you will have tremendous amount of litigation. What is not clarified in the law specific to franchise will all be litigated. Because contract says, oh, you did not make this disclosure, this was misrepresentation, I was swayed into buying a franchise or getting into a franchise and now there is a problem and stuff like that. So I believe that if we want to really grow, we'll need some kind of framework, either a voluntary framework or some kind of involuntary or say regulatory framework we will need. But it is very important that your organization has to start with some kind of manual, however small or big, but that is one important thing. And even I expect that there is going to be reverse colonialization at some point in time. What I mean to say in a lighter way, sorry, that so far we are blinded by the brands that are coming from overseas. Okay, you will see the Indian brands will come up and they will become global brands. Okay, and if we have to globalize our brands or even Indianize our brands, we will need a very strong framework, both regulatory or self-regulatory, as well as a good documentation practice. Because how can you operate in, I see so many educational institutions, educational companies are coming up. After experimentation in India being successful, what do you do next? You think of Africa, you may think of Bangladesh, you may think of some other countries. And not only those developing countries, but also in developed countries. You can, see more and more brands will be exported because they are becoming exotic. At one point of time, you see in Italy, it was all unorganized. Today, how many brands have come up? People talk of Walmarts or Targets and big stores, but real meat often you will find is in small businesses. These small businesses create their own, what you call blue ocean strategy. The creativity is so high that, for example, you take a suit, right? You wear all the suits. You go to one of those supermarket stores, a big store in the US, $100, $200, $300. But if you go to Xenia, it's $5,000 on an average. Don't you end up paying that? And you pay gladly. Louis Vuitton, one bag would cost you $5,000, and you happily pay that. Whereas you go to Walmart, it will cost you $100. So $5,000 revenue will require maybe 50 customers, or you need 500 footprints. So you feel so many people are coming, going out, but you sell 50. On the other hand, Louis Vuitton, 3 people walk in, one person may walk out. So there are business models that you can develop. Today, if you go to Delhi courts, 3 times, 4 times matters get adjourned. Flight tickets are slightly more expensive than going to Singapore. So our whole team went to Singapore, came back, fought litigation there. It was faster, cheaper, better. And Singapore holds its own cloud. So people do respect their judgments. When they come out of Singapore. So this is a very interesting experience for us. Whole team goes to Singapore and litigates and comes back. It happens exactly on time. Limited time is provided for arguments because everything is done prior to the oral arguments. Not a minute more will be provided to you, but they treat litigant as a customer. So you get SMS that your matter is going to come up, you get email, you can do all the e-filing documents and stuff like that. It was pretty interesting some time ago for us. It was again IP matter, and we got the remedy we wanted from Singapore court. We could have gone to Delhi because cause of action was partly in India, partly overseas. So we could have gone to Delhi, but we found that the cost of going to Delhi and adjournments and lawyers' costs have also gone up in India quite a bit, So it might be a good idea to do outsourcing to Singapore, and we can do some franchise in our legal space as well and work around that.